Hello everybody, thanks for watching. My name's Andrew Silber. I am the Vice Chairman of the San Pedro Waterfront Arts District Board of Directors. Proud to be asked to come and talk to you today and show you a bit of cooking technique. I grew up in Wimbledon in South London, and for 25 years I owned an English restaurant in San Pedro called the Whale and Ale.
So tell us how you make shepherd's pie. You start with the potatoes?
Yes, you start with peeling, quartering or dicing, and then boiling your choice of potatoes. For today's shepherd's pie, I used a combination of russet and white rose, but you can use Yukon, you can use red rose, any potatoes you like, you can use them. Peel them if you need to. If you can avoid peeling them, do, because the nutrition in a potato is all in the peel area and it goes away when you peel it. Dice them and boil them. While they're on the stove boiling in salted water, you can start preparing the pie filling, the beef and lamb. 80% beef, 20% lamb is how I choose to do it. Some people prefer all lamb. They claim that's the real shepherd's pie. I always disputed that because I can't see a shepherd wanting to cook lamb. I think he's there to protect his lambs. So I go with 80% beef, 20% lamb. The beef shouldn't be too lean. It's again about 80-20. And lamb tends to come lean anyway. So potatoes are boiling away, so you'll be able to mash them. While you're doing that, I'll be peeling and chopping fairly small, maybe 3/8 inch size carrots and about 1/4 inch diced onion. And you'll see how that's done and the knife technique we use to do that. We'll also finely chop, or you can crush if you prefer, 2 cloves of garlic. So in a large skillet, about 11-inch skillet, if you're cooking for 3 or 4 people, I would start with a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. Then I add the carrot and the onion, because it takes slightly longer to soften that and brown the edges before I add the finely chopped garlic. Once those are softened and the garlic aroma is coming out from the oil, you can add your ground beef and your ground lamb. And I tend to put them in the center of the pan and push the carrot, onion and garlic to the edges so that the beef and lamb are cooking on a higher heat whilst the rest of it's pretty much cooked and is keeping hot around the edge. When that's done, which you'll know because the beef and lamb will start browning and there'll be a little pink left showing but not much, I will then add the herbs that I like to put in mine. I tend to use thyme and Italian seasoning and chopped parsley. At the most about 1/2 teaspoon of each, maybe slightly more of the Italian seasoning. Most people don't use Italian seasoning, they'll use rosemary instead, which is just a question of preference. Nothing wrong with rosemary, it's delicious. Again, I'd use a bit more than you do of the other herbs. And at that point I add about 1 teaspoon of Worcester sauce, or Worcestershire sauce, or Worcestershire sauce, depending how you want to pronounce it. And about 1/2 tablespoon of ketchup. Again, this is all personal preference. People who don't want to use tomato ketchup will often use tomato paste. Combine that, let it cook a little while because the herbs really need to have the hot oil on them to bring out their flavor. But once they've cooked slightly, you'll want to drain any excess fat and oil that's come out from the beef especially. A lot of beef will sweat out fat, which you'll want to drain either by spooning it out, push the mixture to the one edge and spoon out the fat from the other edge. Putting a lid on the pot and tipping it, The fat I tend to put in a plastic cup, an old used cup, and put it in the fridge to set before it's thrown away in the trash. And that's where it goes, I'm sorry to say. You're now just about combine all your ingredients for the shepherd's pie. It doesn't need much more cooking. Once the beef and lamb are cooked, it's pretty much done. I'd stir it a fair amount. I'd add some frozen peas so you have the sweetness of the carrot and pea, and you also have some colour variation, so it's not all beef coloured. There's some green and some orange from the two vegetables. It just looks more attractive. Once you've drained the fat, you can add some flour, a little bit of flour to soak up whatever fat remains, because you'll need that as a thickening agent for your beef bouillon mixture. The bouillon I made is 8 fluid ounces of boiled water plus a teaspoon of thick, strong beef bouillon. You can use any bouillon you want, or beef stock cubes. But once the flour's added to the mix, stir it a bit so the flour isn't all sitting on the top and not hitting the oil at the bottom. And let it cook slightly, a minute or so, because the flour and fat mixture, the roux, is what you'll need to thicken the beef stock that you're adding next. Once the beef stock's dissolved, bouillon's dissolved in the hot water, stir it around. You can add it to the roux mix that's in your ground beef, ground lamb saute pan. Stir it, let it simmer a little while. You'll immediately see, as soon as it's boiling again, that it thickens almost instantly. At that point, I turn the heat off. You don't want to boil it for very long, but you do want that reaction of the roux with the stock to thicken. Check the consistency, see it's how you like it. You can make it thinner at this point. If you need to make it thicker, you'll need to mix some cornstarch and water, or make a roux in a separate pan. So don't add water and beef stock too quickly, too much, because you don't really want to have to thicken it again. If you're happy with it, I would then taste it. I would taste the mashed potatoes, see if you want more seasoning, more white pepper, more ground pepper, whatever you like to make it the way you want it. You can at this point add more Worcester sauce, you can add more tomato paste or ketchup, whatever you want to do. For my mashed potato, I use a little milk and some butter and salt and pepper, and that's it. Some people use half and half, some people use heavy cream, heavy whipping cream. You don't call it that in the States?
No, we just say whipping cream or heavy cream.
I'm just going to heat this up, mainly because the potatoes have been sitting here cooling for a long time.
You're going to mash them in the pan?
I do mash them in the pan I cook them in. I'm putting in about 1.5 ounces of butter, something like that.
Oh, and you turned the burner back on.
I did turn to get the milk hot.
Okay.
And then mashing, everyone has their own techniques. But I think anyone watching this will have probably mashed potatoes at some point. Don't add a lot of milk and don't add an awful lot of butter, because again, if you make it too runny, there's very little you can do. Whereas if you make it too stiff, you can add more milk or more butter. These potatoes, as I mentioned, there's a few russet, mainly white rose. Most of them I didn't peel. The russets I did. But again, this is personal choice. You can peel them all, you can not peel any of them. The nutritional value of a potato is all in the skin or just under the skin. That's why I'm keen to use potatoes with their peel on, or some of their peel on. Once you peel the potato, it's of virtually no nutritional value whatsoever. Let's try this with some ground white pepper. This comes out fairly fast from here, so beware. And now we can turn the heat off. What I forgot to do, in my wisdom, was preheat this oven, which wasn't very clever. But you can't...
It won't take long.
No, it won't take long. If you're happy with it, spoon it into an oven-proof casserole. Flatten out the beef mix, and then spoon the mashed potato onto the top. Flatten that out or decorate it with swirls or whatever you'd like to do. Put it in an oven at 425-ish, preheated oven, about 425 degrees. It'll take about 15 to 20 minutes. Don't forget, you're not really cooking it, it's being cooked. What you're doing now is browning the top and making sure it's heated all the way through, so you're not serving it lukewarm. After about 15 to 20 minutes, have a look. If it's slightly browning, that's what you want. You don't want it deeply browned, you just want a hint of colour to the top of it. And then it's ready to serve. Traditionally, we use a vegetable with it. Broccoli, asparagus, can be carrots, can be peas, any vegetable you like, so that it complements the meat mixture, the starch on top of it, and the vegetable on the side. And there is your traditional English shepherd's pie. Thank you for watching and listening.